We've been having some Wi-Fi issues here at the home, and as the saying goes, if the Wi-Fi ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, in today's video, ASUS provided me with a bunch of their new Wi-Fi 7 mesh systems to try out to improve my internet at home, and in doing so, I'm gonna show you what might be the best system for your home. They have all kinds of things here. Over here, we have the BT4, we have the BT8, we have the BT10, and we have the BT5 extender that can be used outdoors and is weatherproof. So if you need, outdoor Wi-Fi, they have pretty much everything that you need. So let's go ahead, get started talking about each of these systems and how they're going to be beneficial to your home. So first up here, we have the ASUS ZenWiFi BD4 worry-free smart home mesh system. So how a mesh system works is you can place the mesh points throughout your house and it's going to wirelessly connect them together so it can extend Wi-Fi from one end of your home where you have the internet coming in all the way to the other end or another floor or in the basement so that you have Wi-Fi spread throughout the entire home. Very simple and easy to set up. You just plug this into your modem and then you get these set up and place them wherever you want. They don't need to be directly connected to the modem. You can do that for a better connection, but this system works great if you have an area of 6,500 square feet with about 5 bedrooms. So that's actually exactly a little bit more than what I would need in my home. I would place one of these on every level, and then I would have Wi-Fi throughout the entire home. So Wi-Fi 7 is the new Wi-Fi standard that you can have in your home. So it's going to be the latest and greatest generation. They have some other AI protection features. Here it has a smart home master network, which is great that you can have all of your smart home devices on one wireless network so that your wireless isn't getting clogged. So I'll talk about that more later. But then here it talks about the speed in which these can go to. So you've most likely gone and got your internet speed and you're at 250 megabits per second, or maybe you're getting 1,000 megabits per second, which is actually 1 gigabit per second. So if you have more than that, you can get up to 2.5 gigabits per second. So this would be a great system for that. So maybe you only have a few hundred megabits per second now, but eventually you want to upgrade to fiber that has 2.5 gigabits per second. This would be a great Wi-Fi system to get for that, because then you're going to have those faster speeds if you ever upgrade the fiber coming into your home. And 2.5 is actually what I have in my home. It's definitely overkill. Most people are going to probably stop at the 250 or the 1 gigabit connection, but this is going to be great for even a power user like me that needs a lot of speed. So great that it has that there. Now, taking a look at the Wi-Fi point itself, this simply plugs into your power. You're then going to take the internet cable going from your modem that comes into your home, plug it into one of these, and then you could plug in other devices like a network switch to have other smart home hubs or other things into number 2. So very simple. This doesn't have a ton of ports, very easy to understand what's going on. You have the internet coming into here, and then you have the internet going into another device. Now, you have the other point, so at the other point, you can also plug in devices. So maybe you have a Nintendo or something, gaming console that you need to plug directly in. You can do that as well with the Wi-Fi point, and it will automatically determine if you're plugging in something that needs internet or if it's going to be receiving internet through what's called a wired backhaul connection. A little advanced, but this is going to be great. Let's go ahead and try how this is going to improve the internet that we have in the home. Let's get a baseline first though of what the speed is I'm getting with the Wi-Fi router that I'm using now. Then we are going to see what the max speed I should be getting and plug these in and see if I'm still getting that max speed. Now, to find the baseline for my internet, I'm going to go to whatever I have the internet on, and here on my computer, it is plugged directly into the router I have, and I'm going to go to fast.com. You could also go to speedtest.net, but here you can see I'm getting the 1 gigabit per second, but I said I'm paying for 2.5 gigabits per second. So not quite exactly what I should be getting, and that's because of the limitation of the router I have. Now, next I want to find out the max speed I should be getting right from my modem, or this is called the fiber ONT. So find where the internet is coming into your home. Then you're going to have a cable that goes from here into your router, and I'm going to unplug that. So now the internet is not working in the home. And I'm going to take the cable that is plugged into my computer. So take an Ethernet cable, plug it directly into a computer. Now that we have that plugged in, let's go back to the computer and see exactly what speed I'm getting directly from the internet coming into the home. I'm gonna give that just a second, and then I'm going to hit refresh here. And there you can see I am getting much faster speeds, 2.6, 2.7 maybe gigabits per second, much better. And then here, once it's done, there's the final score, even a little bit more estimated that I pay for. And you can come down here and hit show info. And I actually care a lot about my upload speed. So this is something you may want to check. And when you do fiber, your upload and download should be very close to the same. So here I'm getting very close, 2.7 gigabits per second on my upload speed as well. So that is awesome that that's what's coming into my home. So now let's see if we can do that with the ASUS ZenWiFi BD4. So first I'm going to unplug my computer now and plug back in my main network cable. Then here on my old router, I'm going to take that same cable that's bringing the internet into the home and plug that into number 1. And then this other cable is plugged into one of my network switches that's plugged into another switch that's plugged into another switch. That's for another day. But then we're going to take the cable that's feeding all of my other devices in here and plug that into number 2 and then plug it into power. And then we're going to let that power up. Now I've already gone through the process to set this up, but it can be done right in the ASUS router app, or you can do this online as well. So then I've opened it up. I add a device after I've created my account and everything, and I plugged in the other routers and connected them all as well. So let's go place them around the house. And when they're booting up, you'll see some different colors. Red means not currently working. You'll see a blue, which is like in setup, and then you'll see a white when it is finished initializing, just like that, and it is working properly. Now I'm going to place my second point here in a central location. Now, before I even was able to plug that in, my other devices that were saying internet not available have already come back online because the first point has registered and the internet is going there. Now this is going to wirelessly mesh to the other point, and we'll have good quality connection right in here. And here the third point upstairs, just need to plug that in. Now, like I mentioned before, we have the two jacks right here that we can plug in. So I want to plug my Chromecast directly into there. And I do have the option to plug in for Ethernet backhaul, but we're just going to do it wireless mesh right now. And then that's going to initialize. Now, the biggest tip I have for when you set up a new Wi-Fi network is keep it the same name as your old network. So when you plug in the new one, all your old devices automatically connect to the new one. You don't have to go to every single device and connect it. I have more than 100 devices on my network, so to go through and reconnect every single one is going to take me a ton of time. Now, there may be some security reasons you might want to change that, and you might have to go through that process, but during the setup, it's gonna say, what do you want your Wi-Fi name? Just make it the exact same name as you had on the old Wi-Fi router, even the same password as well, and then all your devices will directly connect to it, and you don't have to do anything once it gets set up. Everything will connect to it. Let's go back to the computer and see what my internet looks like. On my way down here, I saw a light that was flashing here, meaning it's not connected to the internet. So sometimes you may need to just unplug and plug back in a device, and then it will boot up and connect to the new Wi-Fi. There we go, problem solved. Back at the computer, let's refresh here, see how much speed we are getting with the new Wi-Fi connected. Now, some devices may take a little bit longer. You may need to reset your computer if things aren't working properly. So here, 1.6 gigabits per second, not quite the 2.5 that I should be getting like when I was directly connected. So let's go ahead, try one more time. There we go, getting up to the 2.1. That is much better. So not exactly what I would like to get. You know, you're gonna get pretty close to what you pay for. Here on the upload speed, I wanna check that as well. And there we're getting up to the 1.7 gigabits per second. So that's pretty good, but let's go ahead and talk more about what this system offers. All my devices have now connected to the new router, and going into the ASUS router app here, we can see that the internet's currently working. We have some really small numbers here, but that is 71 devices connected to the one point. Then we have an MLO connection, which is our mesh network, to the other point, and that has 9 devices. And then down here, we have 6 more devices. So all of those massive amount of devices I have are able to then connect, and it's spreading those over to whatever is the closest connection. Now I can go under here under devices, and I can see all the different mesh systems that I have connected, or I can go to all my devices and I can see every single specific device that's connected, what's using the most speed, and so on. We can even go into the home and we can go over here and we can see our real-time traffic of what is happening in the home. If people are streaming other things, this is going to spike and go up. Right now, we're just uploading a little bit and downloading a little bit as well. And then over here, we can see our Wi-Fi. Now, one thing about this system is it is a dual band system. So it's using 2 networks to be able to send wireless signals. So it has a 2.4 gigahertz wireless network and a 5 gigahertz wireless network. The 2.4 gigahertz network is what you need for smart devices to connect, and it has a wide range, where the 5 gigahertz is gonna be faster speeds, but it doesn't have as big of a range, but your mobile device is gonna connect to that, your tablet, your laptop, and everything. So it's a great system for just your average usage, something that we could use great in our home. And then we can even go in here further, and if we want to adjust how our family is using this, we can specify what devices are kind of limited, and we can have some restrictions on the internet and other things like that per device, per age, and so on. So you can go in there and set that up. Really cool that you have all those features. And then here in the settings, we also have some other AI protection features right now. The security level is high. We're blocking malicious sites, two-way IPS, and then infected device prevention, and so on. And then down here, it's gonna run you through, things that are working well and things that you could improve on. So we're gonna go back to the home page and tap on our main network here, and we can see some more details. So right here, it's showing us in green, letting us know that things are connected, that we plugged into the back. So it automatically adjusted that, and it will do it for each point. So that's good that those things are working properly. We can also go down here into the settings, and then we can tap on the network. And here we can see our network name. We could also create a guest network if we want to. So you may not want to give everyone your main network and password, but you can create a guest network that's set up temporarily, or you can turn that on and off so that guests can have access to the internet. But if we go into the main network here, we can see more details here. We can see that the Wi-Fi 7 mode is on. We can see our network name, and there we can see that both the Wi-Fi bands are on of the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz. And we can adjust some things down here as well. Now, I don't know everything about Wi-Fi, and there is a ton of other network settings, not just Wi-Fi, but network settings is a whole animal of different things that you might want to figure out, but you don't really need to. This kind of figures it all out, but I love how the app really lets you dial down to very specific details to adjust them if you need to. Now, there is a full web interface if you want to use that instead of the app. But one thing, some of the devices I've been trying to connect to aren't quite connecting. So to fix some of those devices not connecting, I can go in here to the authentication method, and I can change that. So typically it's WPA, WPA2 is what you'll see. You'll see some go to 3 now, but 3 may not be working properly. So I'm gonna switch this to the WPA2, and here it's saying that it is going to disable the Wi-Fi 7 mode to proceed. So maybe not all my devices are compatible with that Wi-Fi 7 mode, so we're gonna keep it there. Here's where you would change your network password and so on, and we're gonna apply and see if we can get that final device right down here. So it just went red, meaning it's updating, but I need it to show colored, and then everything will be working properly on the home network. The network has now rebooted and adjusted that change, and now you can see over here my cloud is showing a rainbow color, meaning it has connected to the internet, and all my devices are now connecting. Now, that was kind of the only device that wasn't connecting, not sure why, but it's great that I have the option to go in and adjust the settings. Now, the last thing to talk about on this Wi-Fi system is the Wi-Fi speed. We already covered connecting directly to it and what the speeds you are getting, but now we can do a Wi-Fi speed test for my phone. Now, I wanna say that if you are connected directly, it's gonna be much faster. Wi-Fi just loses speed because you don't have that direct connection. It's gonna be slower than what you are paying for. But let's see what we are going to be getting. Connected with my phone on the 5 gigahertz network. So I'm pretty close, should be pretty fast. And there we are getting up to about 600 megabits per second. So pretty good, but definitely nowhere near that 2.5 gigabits per second. We just don't have Wi-Fi speeds in the world that are that fast yet. There's ways to get it to show a little bit faster, but this is more a real life what you're getting. And here are my upload speeds just aren't as good either, but that's fine. I don't need more than 600 megabits per second on my phone. I'm not uploading my full YouTube videos from here. That is all done over on my computer. So now that we have that covered, this is a great system, the BD4 with the 3 points for my home. It covers everything from down here in the basement to the top floor, a wide range, and all of my different devices that I have in the home. So if you're looking for something that's great for streaming, browsing, video calling, getting homework done, this is going to be a great system. But what if you want more? Well, here we have the BT8 Zen WiFi system on Wi-Fi 7. So this improves with another band. So it's a tri-band system and it has a few more points on the back. So taking a look here at the box, it's the Wi-Fi 7 AiMesh system. It has all the security features, the smart home features, two 2.5 gigabit connections. So it's great that if you have more devices like I do, this is going to be really handy. And then here we're covering 8,000 square feet of 8+ rooms. So the last Wi-Fi worked with the amount of rooms I have, but maybe you have just a little bit more space. You need a little bit more coverage in your home. This is what you're going to want. And then it has the tri-band system. So instead of just the 2.4 gigahertz, the 5 gigahertz, it also has a 6 gigahertz band so that you're going to have some of those faster speeds directly over Wi-Fi, and it can work together to make sure that you have more speed on your network at home. Now, what does Wi-Fi 6 offer? Well, here it has 8,643 megabits per second. So when you are going over Wi-Fi, it is going to be much faster, giving you up to 2.4 times speed than your normal Wi-Fi router. And this is even saying faster than Wi-Fi 6 because it has the Wi-Fi 7 and the tri-band system. Let's check out the network points. So here on the back, you can see that we have more ports. We first have the USB 3.0, so you could plug in things to be powered from here. You also have a 2.5 gigabit LAN 3 connection. You have the LAN 2 connection, the LAN 1 connection, and then the 2.5 gigabit WAN connection. So that is where you're going to have the internet come into your home, and then you're going to plug in your network switch or whatever devices that you want directly plugged in with the 2.5 gigabit second connection right into here. So in my router, I have the TP-Link 2.5 gigabit network switch that would plug directly into here, and then it's going to provide that faster internet to all devices. And then I can plug some of my other switches into here, and here we have the power as well as a switch on and off. So let's go ahead, get this set up and plugged in just the same way we did the other one, and I'll show you a few other things that you might need to adjust depending on where you're having this plugged in. So here in the network room, I'm going to be following the same thing I did over here. We're gonna plug in the modem directly into the WAN connection here. So that's coming in, and then I'm gonna plug in my network switches into the 2.5. And then here we have two more, but these are 1 gigabit per second connections. So if you want another computer, or maybe a switch to be directly plugged in, you can do that right in here. So there is internet coming into the house. Here are all of my different network switches, and then power. And then we're gonna let those boot up. It will turn blue, and then you can get it set up in the app, but I've already done that, so we're gonna wait till it turns white. Back at the computer, here was the last speed test. The new Wi-Fi set up. Let's see how it does. All right, that's pretty good, getting up to that 2.4 right at the top. That's typically what you would see, just a bit under the 2.5 gigabits per second that I'm paying for. And there, the upload speed is doing great as well at the 2.3. And there you can see the amount of data that does there in the megabytes. So that's awesome. Now let's go ahead and see what the Wi-Fi speed is, because this is with the tri-band system. Now my phone I'm using is the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which I believe was only Wi-Fi 6. So let's go ahead and do a test on here first using the speed test app. And there we are getting up to a little bit less, a little bit the same, 450 megabits per second, where on the last one I saw up to about 600 megabits per second. So pretty good. Again, standard Wi-Fi speed. You're not going to be seeing crazy speeds, but if you do have a phone that has the latest generation of Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 7, you might see a little bit better. Let's test that out. And here I have the latest Samsung Fold. There you can see at the top, it is connected over the 7, so Wi-Fi 7. Let's see the speeds we're gonna get on here. And there you go. That is much faster, getting up to that 800, even 900, 1,000. Whoa. Okay, that's very fast. Now, one of the things that Samsung does is it's operating with the multiple inputs and multiple outputs. So it's almost like it has two connections directly to the router to be able to pull down and upload that much data. So there you go. You can get faster Wi-Fi speeds if you have the latest generation of devices. So if your phone's pretty old, maybe it's time to upgrade to, I guess, a Samsung because it's the fastest here. So there we got 1,465 megabits per second download and 936 megabits per second upload. Plenty for my phone for doing whatever I may want it to do. So with the new system, with the BT8, you have the 3x3 MIMO, or multiple inputs, multiple output network, which is pretty rare. So you have a great connection to your devices. So not only does it have 3 different bands to work with, but it can have that dual connection. So you get faster speeds like this on your different devices. And so this is gonna fly through anything you throw at it. So here, going back into the ASUS app, here I have 84 devices connected to one point, 6 to this one, and 1 to this one. And then I have a different setup here where the AiMesh is connecting from the main router to the second one, and then the second one to the third one. So that's the best connection it could get to have it complete. And so that's great. Everything is working awesome. Speed test has been awesome. The other thing you may want to do, maybe you want to have faster internet all the way to the third point. So maybe you're noticing it's not quite as fast as you'd like it to be on the third level of the home. Well, you can do what is called Ethernet backhaul. So instead of having it use the AiMesh, you have the option to wire directly from the first Wi-Fi point and have a network connection go to the second Wi-Fi point. So let me go ahead and plug that in. I do have a connection to the multiple levels of my home, so I can just plug that in and I can show you how to turn on that backhaul. So here at the main network point, I'm going to take my network cable that goes up to the third floor and plug that into the 2.5 gigabit LAN. So here upstairs is where that Ethernet cable comes out, and then I'm going to take this and plug it into the WAN port. So now that we have that plugged in, we're now going to have the same speed directly up here that we have all the way down in the basement, so that we have a much stronger signal. And back here in the app, you can now see that one of them is connected over the MLO and the other one is directly connected. So if we go into there, we can see we have the internet directly connected over the 2.5G. And then here we have the backhaul connection priority, where we can adjust that for if it's going to do the 6 gigahertz, the 5 gigahertz first, or we can do the preferred Wi-Fi uplink AP. So we want this to prefer to go to the study room, which is the main Wi-Fi. So I'm going to prefer it to go there instead of just to that. So now it's creating that better connection between the two. It seemed like it did everything automatically, so I don't know if I need to do that, but now it is preferring to go directly to the main router so that we don't have to do anything. So all that looks great. The other options we have here in the app is we can go and see our current upload speed. So that looks great. We also can go over here and you can see that we have those 3 different bands of Wi-Fi, the 2.4, the 5, and the 6 available, which is really nice. And then we still have all the same family features. I like to go here into the settings, and we can also go into our network. And here we have the guest network. Now I didn't show this on the BD4, but it is available there as well, where here you have the guest network, or you can do the smart home master, where you can create a kids network. You can have a specific IoT network. So maybe you want all of your just smart home devices on their own network. You would go through, set that up, and then it's going to segregate part of the 2.4 gigahertz to be all there. So they're all contained in their own Wi-Fi, which is great. You have VPN and you have multiple link operations. So a lot of options right in there. And if you go into the settings here and we scroll through, can't dive into all of these today, but you can see that there are a ton of different things. You can connect with Google, Alexa. You have other information that you can dive into more fully right in the app. So there you go. This Wi-Fi is great. Now, I think this would be my preferred Wi-Fi to go with, even though it supports a little bit more than my home needs. I really like having more ports on the actual Wi-Fi point so that I can have a little bit more flexibility on what can be plugged in, so that I can move some of the devices plugged in the router up to the different floors so that they're plugged in up there. And then we have all of the different bands, the latest Wi-Fi and very fast Wi-Fi on the latest product. So very cool to have all of this speed that I'm paying for right on all of my different wired devices and very close on my other Wi-Fi devices. Now let's move up one step which is the BT10. So here we have the new Wi-Fi points. Looks very similar to what we just tried out, but there are differences. Looking here at the box, we have the BT10. This has the Wi-Fi 7, extended security, smart home, and 10 gigabits per second home ready with 2 connections. So if you really need super fast internet, this is what you're gonna go with. So I do have the option with my fiber internet to upgrade to 10 gigabit per second. That's 10,000 megabits per second. Do I need that? No. Do I want that? Yes. Do I need it? No. The price to go to that is a lot higher, and I would say this is gonna be more for maybe a full-on business if you need a lot of bandwidth and need to do a lot of work really quick. This would be an option, but here on my simple YouTube channel in my home, I don't need to have that much speed. So if you need that, this is definitely the one to go with. And then here for the coverage, you're at 6,000 square feet with 6 rooms with only 2 points. So the other ones we were using 3 points, but you can have that much coverage with only 2. So maybe you only have one other area you want to add Wi-Fi to, you can easily add that. Or even if you have that Ethernet backhaul connection, you could then plug this in far away and have a really strong connection with just the 2 points. So I really like that about this system. Now here on the back, there is a bit of a change on the speed of the Wi-Fi 6. So here it says 6 gigahertz and it's showing 11,529 megabits per second and a little bit more on the other networks there. So adding that Wi-Fi 7, the other bands on here, very, very fast. Again, tri-band system. They even have a quad band system on some of the other Zen Wi-Fi that's available. So if you need that, you can go check those out as well. And there it's saying that we have 10 gigabits home networking, unbeatable wired gaming, work from home, heaven, and ultimate 4K HDR entertainment streaming. So whatever streaming services provide, you would be able to get the full details. Now let's check out what the ports are. So here we have the USB 3.0 connection again. So you could use that for like a NAS storage. You could plug in a drive and be able to access that. I guess you could also plug in your printer. Haven't tried that. So here we have the 110 gigabit WAN connection. So that's where the internet is going to come into your house, and it's automatically able to change to a LAN if needed. So if you have this is a second one compared to the first one and you want to use that, you can use that way. Here we have the WAN LAN connection as well, so that can be either way. And then here we have the 10 gigabit LAN connections. So if I wanted to plug them directly into each other, I'd plug the internet into the WAN, I'd plug my other cable into the 10 gigabit, and then I'd bring it over here and plug it into the WAN. Does that make sense? So similar to the last, but a few more options with the ports and having that much faster speed. These are going to be what you want to go with, the BT10s versus the other systems. Now, some of the other features that these have are 4x4 MIMO, so multiple inputs, multiple outputs to be able to have that much stronger connection. I don't think I'm going to be able to test much more than I've already tested, so we're not going to get these set up. I have already tried these out. They work great. All of my devices were able to connect. We were having some issues on one of our projectors where it kept buffering like constantly, and plugging these in solved that problem. So no issues there. Some other things is the dual ports are on there. We have full MLO, multiple link operation for seamless multi-band performance. So you're gonna have really good connection with this, and then ideal for 8K streaming and so on. So this is going to be definitely the best Wi-Fi you can get in home with the fastest speeds. If you have fiber at that speed of 10 gigabits per second, these are what I would go with. Now, the last question is, what about if you want to be outside and have a great Wi-Fi connection? Well, they also have a solution for that. So with any of these systems, you can also pick up the BD5. So this is an outdoor wireless network extender that is weather resistant. So you can take a network cable that you have plugged in outside, you can mount this, plug it in, and extend your Wi-Fi outdoors so that you have better connection with maybe outdoor cameras. Maybe you have big parties, events outside, and you want to have Wi-Fi easily and available and strong connection for everyone out there. This is going to be a great option for you as well. So here we have the BD5 Outdoor, and you can mount it on the wall, pole mount, tabletop. It's waterproof and dustproof. It does have 2.5G with the auto detect PoE port. So it's automatically going to determine how you're connecting it. It can do -30 to 60 degrees Celsius, and it's seamless roaming from indoor to outdoor. So you're gonna have the same network name, but when you're indoor, you're gonna connect to what's closer. And as soon as you go outdoor, it will then automatically connect over to this so that you're gonna have the stronger signal outside. And this one point is able to cover up to 2,500 square feet. So let's check out what is available on here. So down here, we can see that we have AC power. So you could plug this directly in and then put a wired connection, or this also supports PoE, or power over Ethernet. So I have a power over Ethernet network switch in my home. So then I can plug that directly into here and it's going to power this. So I don't need to use the AC power, and I can get a full internet and power with just those connections. And there are 2 connections of those. So I can get that set up, and then it comes with a few different ways to mount it. We can just mount this into the wall and mount that on there. And now I have amazing wireless internet outside, and the range is gonna go quite a ways because there's no walls or anything to stop it. So anywhere in your home, you should be able to have great access to this. If I were to want the area to be in my backyard, I'd have this link close to the backyard so that I have great area. So let's go ahead, see what the internet is like out there right now, plug this in, and then see what we're gonna get. So we're now outside in the backyard. I'm just one wall, a concrete wall away from where I previously was in the office and up the floor, but let's go ahead and do a speed test out here. Typically, you know, I have a lot of smart devices out here. I have cameras, I have different smart robots, and I have had a problem with other routers not being able to have enough speed. Now, this is very interesting. Of course, I'm kind of in the way right here, but this, I've done a bunch of tests already. This is the slowest I've seen, and all I changed was I shut a window. So even opening the window adds tons of Wi-Fi, but now I shut the window, and here I'm getting a much slower speed. So here we're at 14 megabits per second, and then on the upload, again, 14 megabits per second. So definitely not ideal if I want to be out here using the internet. I've also set up a projector, trying to stream things, not very good quality out here with the lower Wi-Fi. So let's go ahead and do a few more tests around and see what the results are on the rest of the home, and then we'll add our BT5. Now, to get this plugged in, there are actually 2 different ways to do it depending on what your needs are. One of them is to have the fastest speed. You would want it plugged directly in to the switch to have the 2.5 gigabit speeds going directly to this, because it does support that, and having the Ethernet cable come into here outside, and then I would have it plugged directly into AC power. That's one option. Now, the other option is I would just have this plugged into a PoE switch. So right here, I have a PoE switch plugged in. So one of these is connected to my main router, and it's getting internet. And now anything that's plugged into here is going to provide power as well as internet to other devices. Now, the problem with this solution is this is only a 1 gigabit switch, so I'm not going to get those full 2.5 gigabit speeds. So if I had a 2.5 gigabit PoE switch, then I could just use the one plug outside. But for faster speeds, I would need to use the AC power and this for my setup. So we're gonna have it plugged into here first, just with the 1 gigabit speeds, and see how that does. So for this, I just need to make sure that this is getting internet and plugged in. Then we're going to put in our Ethernet cable there. Let's head outside to the other end of the cable. So here at the other end of the cable, I'm just going to plug that right into the PoE portion, or either one is going to work. And then just after a second, there it has booted up, and you can see that we are connected. Now there are 2 colored lights. The orange means it's getting only the 1 gigabit, and green will mean it's getting the full 2.5 gigabit. So there you can see it's booting up, connecting to the router, and we have the power without AC power plugged in. So that's what I love about this. Now, this of course is a temporary solution. I do have some eaves with Ethernet cables that I'm currently using for cameras, but I could have it mounted up there for a better permanent solution. But there we have the green light blinking. So let's go ahead and get this set up in the app. Now let's add in the BD5 Outdoor into our Wi-Fi system. So here in the ASUS app, we have the option to add a node right here. I can also tap the plus up here, and we can set up the new router. That's where I set up everything, or we can add the AiMesh node. So here, let's go ahead and see if there is a node that we can quickly add. There it is. So all I need to do is tap on that, showing it's already connected over Ethernet. And we can choose where we want to have this. And let's see if there is a outdoor option. So we can customize and we can say backyard, and then we need to hit apply. And now it's going to go through and incorporate this into the current network that we have already created. And there we have the BD5 Outdoor point that has been added. And so you can see we have our 3 different nodes. We're connected one over the MLO, that is the AiMesh. Then here we have one that has been wired to the backhaul. And then here we have the outdoor, and it's showing yellow because it's only at that 1 gigabit speed. We'll do a setup where we get the fuller speeds out there, but I think it's time to head back outside and do the Wi-Fi test again. And here we have our BD5 Outdoor. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a new speed test out here. Let's see, hopefully we have some really good speeds. Okay, there we go, 94, that's pretty great. Now, one of the things I've noticed as I've put it outside is how quickly the speed test finished. There you can see instantly finished there. Upload speed here, 93 megabits per second, really good. And boom, instantly finished the speed test. So for going around the entire home, now that we have the BD5 Outdoor here, you can see with the new timestamp at the 3 o'clock, starting out really strong front yard, I was getting 200, and then going all the way around the house, testing out these different speeds. I was getting faster speeds in the front. I do have a network point up there that I most likely was connected to. Coming back here, directly connected to the BD5, and I'm getting about that 9400 megabits per second. So I'd say that's great. And the biggest difference I did notice is how quick that speed test finished. Sometimes before I put this out here, it was taking a very long time for it to go through and finish that full test. But here it seemed like when I was in direct line of sight, as soon as I started, it pretty quickly finished that test and gave me the speed. Now I'm going to do one more test. I'm going to plug this directly in and then plug in the 2.5 speed with the network cable and do that and see what the results are, and give you my verdict on all of the different Wi-Fi systems. Now in the last test, I didn't realize this, but my PoE switch only has a 100 megabits per second limit. So in my speeds, I wasn't getting very much because not much was coming out here. I've now switched it where I have power directly connected to the BD5 Outdoor, and then I have the Ethernet connected right into my switch, so it's getting the 2.5 gigabit speed. Let's go ahead and do another speed test here, see how we're doing. Now, I did my full 6 tests around the home, and as you can see, speeds are incredible. I, of course, am just 5 feet away, but these are the top speeds I've seen today, 900 megabits per second, outdoors, which is really great. And I've learned that if you are in direct line of sight of this, you're gonna have the best speeds possible. So it's definitely recommended to mount this a little bit up higher so it can see and broadcast throughout all of the backyard here. Their upload was 409 megabits per second. Let's go ahead and check out our full results from the last 7 tests I've done. So you can see I was ranging from 100 to 300, 459, 279, 196. Those were all outdoor. Amazing speeds that we are getting here on my Pixel 9 Pro Fold with the BD5 Outdoor. Now let's go ahead and test this with a Wi-Fi 7 device. My Pixel's only getting Wi-Fi 6. So here we have the Samsung Fold. So here testing this, again, direct line of sight. What are we going to be getting? Very good, up to the 500 megabits per second. 600, are we gonna get? Oh, it's gonna keep going. There you go, up to almost 900 megabits per second on Wi-Fi 7. And right now it's showing that I am currently connected over Wi-Fi 6, but when I was doing my tests around the home, I was seeing the Wi-Fi 7 connection, and those are awesome. So if we go into the full results, I guess they're 872 download, 596 upload. But if we go into the full results here, you can see I was getting 489, 723, pretty high, but then I was also having some low speeds. And I noticed that when I was around the corner on the other side of the house or in the front of the house, my speeds weren't very good here on this device, but as long as I could see it, I was getting incredible speed. So this isn't too scientific, that's just my observation, but all I know is if you need faster internet in your yard, this is definitely the way to go. Love how the speeds have increased out here. So now movie nights and other times when I'm needing Wi-Fi outside are gonna be much better because I have the BD5 Outdoor. Now, after I switched the BD5 Outdoor directly to power and plugging it into my other switch, here you can see that that line went from orange to green, indicating I had the faster speeds available. On network switches, you'll see a green or a orange flashing light. Green meaning it has the 1 gigabit connection or more, and the orange being 100 megabits. So here, switching that over, gave me the green, faster speeds, and that's why everything was working so great outside. Now, overall, this was awesome to be able to test out all of these different products and how they can be useful in my home and which one might be right for me. So let's go ahead, go through them all one more time. So here, if you want to have some really good Wi-Fi spread throughout a large area, but you don't need to do a ton of streaming at the same time, like maybe you don't have a ton of kids playing games or anything like that, I would say this is going to be a great model for you, the ASUS ZenWiFi BD4. You get the 3 points for great Wi-Fi coverage, and you do get the 2.5 gigabit speed, but you just don't have as many ports that you will need to plug into. So this is going to be great just for run-of-the-mill home where you need Wi-Fi spread far, but don't need the fastest and latest, greatest tech. Now, next we would want to go to the BT8. Now, this is where you're going to have a little bit more streaming needs. Maybe you have multiple people streaming at the same time, watching a lot of 4K content, few people gaming, and you need more ports to plug in to have faster internet in multiple areas of the home. That's what I would go with for mine house, as well as for anyone that needs a little bit faster streaming in their home. Now, next we have the BT10. So this takes all that the 8 offered, but then it adds the ability to have the 10 gigabit connection to your internet. So if you have really fast internet speeds in your home, getting that fiber 10 gigabit connection, this is what you would want to do. And it adds those 2 10 gigabit ports on here, so you can do a lot more with it. Now, this is something that I kind of want to have in my house. And the nice thing is you only need to have those 2 points for a similar amount of coverage, but it's really kind of overkill for even what I would need, where this is going to fit my needs mostly. But having that extra port on here is definitely something that's always nice to have, just to get better connection throughout the entire home. And then if you have the needs to add any internet outside and you're streaming or using devices out there, I can highly recommend the BD5 Outdoor. Now, the great thing about this is it can be utilized with all of these different systems. So maybe you just want to go with this system and then you want to add the outdoor, you can do that as well. So it's great that you can kind of mix and match these and have the AI mesh work together, or you can just have them using the backhaul directly plugged in so that you can spread that Wi-Fi throughout your entire home. So I know I covered a ton of detail. So if you have any further questions about how any of these work, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to pick up your own set of Wi-Fi that's going to work and solve many problems of the Wi-Fi you're having in your home now, make sure you check out the links down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.